You know, it's been an incredible ride. This is exactly why NASA partnered with a startup. It's to be able to prove that robotic spacecraft are ready for prime time. Everyone understands that this is a high-risk, high-reward mission, but the biggest danger, the biggest risk would have been doing nothing. We know for a fact at the end of this year, the Swift telescope, this $500 million asset, would be deorbiting, would be coming down. And so we thought it was so important to be able to build a spacecraft. It's been so inspiring. Our team has worked so hard. There's only about 60 of us here at Catalyst, and everyone's been working day and night to be able to put this mission together. We're very confident about the odds of success, but we also have to recognize that this is a first of its kind mission that's really never been done before.
All right, excited to see you try. Catalyst Space CEO Gun-Hee Lee, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Diane.
Coming up, Lori Bergamato is here with big summer sales you won't want to miss. Deal Drop Days is next.
Get more from your phone without purchasing a new one with the SanDisk Phone Drive.
At Pechanga Resort Casino in Temecula, you can stay and play, wine and dine, soar, and so much more. Play your perfect combination at Pechanga Resort Casino.
Havaiana, espalhe o molho brasileiro pro mundo.
Now playing only in theaters. Tickets available now.
Does anyone else hear that? Hear what?
That's the best compliment I've ever gotten.
I'm gonna cry for the first time in my entire life.
I give you all A pluses. A plus.
What an astute observation. I was just getting to the good part.
Stay calm, Mr. Johnson. You can freak the kids out. Oh my God, hurry up!
Welcome back to ABC News Live. It's time for Deal Drop Days with our friend GMA Lifestyle contributor Lori Bergamato. So retailers like Amazon, Walmart, Target, and more are rolling out major deals this week, and Lori is bringing us some of the best ones. So you can shop all of these products and other deal drops by scanning that QR code at the bottom left corner of your screen. Lori, I already love what we're shopping for today.
We know your interests. We know our consumer. And for this one in particular, we know you guys love Legos.
I can't wait for you to see this.
It's really cool. And Legos don't often go on sale, so when they do, we want to pay attention.
Especially when they're Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'm glad you got to say his name. I feel like that's fitting.
Cristiano.
So this is one of their limited edition. Obviously, it's in honor of the World Cup. It's, first, how cool is it?
So cool. I want this so badly.
And I just want everyone at home to know that as soon as Diane walked in, did not read the box. She was not looking at the box.
No.
She looked here,
of course,
America, and was like, "Oh, is that Ronaldo?"
How cool is
so
that?
Really fun, really timely. This is a great collector's piece. If you know an adult or a kid or a family that is really into the World Cup, is a big fan of Ronaldo's, they have lots of different players and they have lots of different things. But right now, I want to tell you about the deal. Originally, this is $109.98. It's 40% off, now $65 at Walmart.
So cool.
It's really cool. Speaking of cool, this is a good buy for right now. Now, I know it's for a lot of people, it's the last day of school, but you always want to be thinking ahead because a lot of colleges and some schools start in August. So you might need a computer. This one we found at Walmart. This is from Lenovo. This is their Idea Pad 5. So Diane, what I want to show you here is it's a laptop. I was just going to say, I feel like Diane's going to want to demo this. And it flips you guys 360 degrees. Now it's a tablet. It's fantastic. And what's really cool about this is it has 1 terabyte of storage. So for your average person, your average user, that is enough storage for you, right? Unless you're like working here and you're editing video all day, which I don't think you guys are, at home, that is plenty of storage. And also it has 16 gigabytes of RAM. So that is, again, going to keep the memory. And that's exactly what you need. If you're a student, if you're working from home, that is all you need. And the original price on this was $929.99, 35% off. It's just under $600. This is at Walmart. Their deal days end on the 28th. So this is one of those you really want to grab.
Jump on that. That's so great.
Okay, and then finally, Amazon still has Prime Day, but that is going to end on the 26th, so you want to pay attention to that. These are their Sony WH-1000XM5 model, and the reason I read all of those details is because there are a lot of different Sony noise-canceling headphones, and these are the ones that you want to lock in on, you guys, because they were originally $278. Now, 29% off. They're just under $200 at $198. She's not going to be able to hear me. I feel like you're in the soundproof booth.
What did she say?
But I want to tell you, they are incredible at noise canceling.
Really comfortable.
But 2 other things that you guys should know is that 30 hours of battery life, and also you just have to charge it for 3 minutes to get those 30 hours. How amazing is that? Diane's like, I didn't hear you. But lots of great things.
Something about charging and battery life.
3 minutes for 3 hours.
I was focused on the fact that they match my dress. I want them already. Lori, thank you so much. And to shop these deals and more, you can scan that QR code at the bottom left corner of your screen and join us same time tomorrow for more deals. I'm Diane Macedo. The news never stops, and neither do we. We'll be right back.
Stability, precision. That's the essence of driving. Often.
Most memorable time.
Stories 2020, Friday nights at 9. ABC News honored winner of 8 Emmy Awards for excellence, more than any other news organization, and winner of a prestigious Peabody Award. Most honored, most watched. Thank you for making ABC News America's #1 news.
Wherever news breaks, it's so important to always remember that lives are changed. Getting you behind the story happen.
Of storage. So for your average person, your average user, that is enough storage for you, right? Unless you're like working here and you're editing video all day, which I don't think you guys are, at home, that is plenty of storage. And also it has
Baywatch film crew.
15 gigabytes?
Over the meaning of a phrase in federal immigration law which says once someone has arrived in the United States, they are entitled to apply for asylum. It's a long-standing provision dating back to World War II when the United States turned away Jews fleeing the Holocaust. They shamefully turned away those Jews back to Europe. In this case, though, the Supreme Court said you have to step foot on U.S. soil to arrive in the United States. What that means is Trump can basically shut the doors at ports of entry along the border to prevent asylum seekers from even approaching a border agent to file an asylum claim. And that, to many immigration advocates and asylum seeker advocates, is a really disappointing and devastating decision given the United States history with respect to the Jews.
This TPS case is focused on Haitians and Syrians, but the Trump administration has moved to cancel temporary protected status for several other nationalities. So what precedent does this case set?
Yeah, it sure does. You know, temporary protected status is this ability of the Homeland Security Secretary to give certain classes of immigrants the ability to live in the United States and work here if the conditions in their home countries are not good or unsafe due to war or natural disaster or the like. It is largely a discretionary determination, and in this case, these immigrants from Haiti and Syria, hundreds of thousands of them, were challenging the determination by Kristi Noem, then Homeland Security Secretary, when she canceled their status abruptly and said all these people needed to go home after living in the United States for a number of years. And what the Supreme Court said today is that discretion is vast, and that the Trump administration and future presidents can make those determinations without any second guessing by the courts. And with respect to the specific case, Justice Samuel Alito in the majority said he also didn't see any racial animus in the decision to send these people back, which of course many of the advocates and plaintiffs here had alleged, given some of Donald Trump's rhetoric.
The court also struck down Hawaii's law banning guns on private property open to the public. What does that mean for other states considering similar bans?
Well, 4 other states, in addition to Hawaii, had similar measures which were struck down as unconstitutional this morning by the Supreme Court. It basically said in places like shopping malls, restaurants, theaters, arenas, private beaches, rather, open to the public, you have to get the express permission first from the owner before you carry your weapon. That was what those states said. And what the Supreme Court said today, the conservative majority, is they said that violates the Second Amendment. That constrains the legal rights of lawful gun owners from carrying their weapons into places and having to seek permission first. And so now the standard nationwide is that if you are lawfully carrying a gun, you can't carry it anywhere, including private property open to the public, unless you're told otherwise by the property owner. That now puts the onus on private property owners, people who own private beaches, shopping malls, theaters, arenas, farms, the like, to put up signs to tell people in states where permitted carry is allowed that you have to keep your guns at home before you come on. Diane?
Senior Washington reporter Devin Dwyer, thank you.
You bet.
We're following breaking news. Crews are racing to find survivors after deadly earthquakes in Venezuela. The active presence of 2 back-to-back quakes killed more than 100 people and injured nearly 1,000. Now buildings across the capital are leveled and death toll is expected to rise.
I see some bug spray as well, face masks, a lot of this stuff getting to go straight to Venezuela. A nationwide state of emergency there as urgent search and rescue operations are underway. 2 massive back-to-back earthquakes killing at least 160 people, nearly 1,000 injured, and those numbers are expected to climb. Video showing the devastation, people scrambling for cover, debris crashing down on streets, a section of Caracas' airport collapsing in a cloud of dust, travelers scrambling to escape, parts of that terminal left looking like a war zone. That airport is now closed. Buildings across the capital city of Caracas leveled, entire walls crumbled, exposing apartments and businesses to the streets below. Emergency crews digging through the rubble, helping residents get to safety. Some of those injured had to be pulled out on stretchers and loaded into ambulances. The U.S. Geological Survey saying that the two earthquakes were part of a severe seismic doublet sequence that hit the same part of the country's northern region less than minutes apart Wednesday. The first tremor striking at 6:04 p.m. It was a magnitude 7.2, followed just 39 seconds later by an even larger 7.5 magnitude quake. Officials say the earthquakes are among the strongest to ever strike Venezuela in more than a century. One survivor saying the scene was like a horror movie. With at least 20 aftershocks reported, officials are warning residents to stay outdoors and away from damaged structures. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying that the United States is immediately deploying search and rescue teams, medical resources, and humanitarian assistance to Venezuela. Diane?
Victor Kendo, thank you. Republicans are trying to patch things up with President Trump after a shouting match on Capitol Hill. Some Republican senators voted to limit the president's war powers. Then the president abruptly canceled plans to sign a major bipartisan housing bill. Later, the contentious meeting with President and some senators over the war with Iran. And now House Speaker Mike Johnson is set to meet with President Trump to try to smooth things over. Let's bring in White House correspondent Karen Travers for more. Karen, what more are you hearing about this contentious meeting on Capitol Hill, and where do things stand on this bipartisan housing bill?
Yeah, it really grew tense behind closed doors yesterday, Diane, and it was already expected to be a tense meeting because the president had his agenda, lawmakers had a list of things they wanted to talk about. Of course, the war with Iran was going to be big, and then 2 hours before he was set to sign that bipartisan housing bill, the president said he wasn't going to do it until lawmakers passed the Save America Act, which has been a top priority of his for several months. The problem is it doesn't have enough Republican support right now in the Senate to move forward, and so lawmakers in that meeting were trying to explain to the president where things could go at this point. But on the issue of Iran, that's where it really grew heated. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana said he admitted it got tense back and forth where he and the president were lashing out. Cassidy said that he told the president, "You have not told the American people what's going on." He said he makes no apologies and won't be bullied when he is standing up for the American people on this issue. The president, of course, was taking issue with Republican senators who this week had voted in favor of a resolution that would have reined in his authority on the war with Iran. Now, today, House Speaker Mike Johnson has the fun task of coming down here to the White House to try to smooth things over. Senators, of course, have left town for the July 4th holiday already, but Johnson yesterday was very optimistic that the president still will sign that housing bill. He said the president was just making a statement yesterday about the Save America Act, that it's still a top priority, but understands where things are going. And today, Johnson will have to talk about all of that behind closed doors here at the White House. Diane.
Karen Travers, thank you. Iran says ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz need to go through designated routes. The IRGC says traffic outside Iran's approved routes is dangerous and prohibited. Now, Secretary of State Rubio says Iran controlling the strait will never be an acceptable condition of any deal. Former National Security Council Senior Director for Counterterrorism, Javed Ali, is here for more on that. Javed, thank you for coming on. So data shows 70 ships crossed the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. That's the most since the war started. So how significant is that, and what do you make of this rhetoric interlocking with that?
So, Diane, nice to be with you in person.
Yeah, I know. Nice to have you here.
Absolutely. And so with the latest sort of twist on the deal between the U.S. and Iran, it is clear that Iran is trying to probe or push the conditions of this agreement and see how much how much room do they have to keep negotiating with one of these critical aspects, which is who's going to control the straits, what kind of economic system will come into place, and who's going to generate the most money from that. So these moves that we're seeing now, I believe, are just Iran sort of testing the system.
So how much leverage does the Strait of Hormuz give Iran in these negotiations for a larger peace deal?
Well, we've seen over the course of the conflict, this has been probably the biggest card they've played, using that analogy that President Trump likes to use. But at the same time, the U.S. still holds additional cards with respect to the use of military force. And we've heard President Trump say if Iran doesn't start negotiating in good faith and sign this deal, the potential for resuming military operations is also on the table.
Israel's defense minister says the IDF won't withdraw from Lebanon even if the U.S. demands it. Iran has made clear a number of times that that's a necessary part for them in this deal. So where does that leave these negotiations and the U.S.-Israel relationship?
So this is another huge point. We've talked about this in our previous conversations too, is that Iran clearly is going to the mat to protect and preserve Hezbollah. Now, will Israel withdraw fully from southern Lebanon, even if that's what the U.S. wants? Unclear, because Hezbollah is still attacking Israel as well, and Israel has a right to defend itself. But we have heard time and time again the Iranians say they are going to demand a full Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon because Hezbollah is their most important partner in the region.
Per the ceasefire deal, the U.S. and Iran has 60 days from when it was signed to reach a larger agreement. Do you think they can do it?
I think they can, because I still assess that President Trump wants this deal to happen, and for political reasons, economic reasons, and perhaps even the military side of keeping 50,000 troops still stationed in the region for the threat of resumed military operations. So for all those factors, I still think President Trump wants to make this deal happen, and again, the clock is ticking, but I think we'll get it. It'll get over the line. May not look like what it is right now, but I do think we'll get a deal at the end of 60 days.
Where do you think they find common ground to make it happen?
I think that we'll find common ground on the issue of the economic system for the Strait of Hormuz. Iran will probably have to give up some concessions on the nuclear program, and perhaps on the status of Hezbollah in Lebanon too. But again, that may not make Israel happy at the same time. But I think those are the three key points under which this deal can move forward or will survive at some point.
All right, Javad Ali, always great to have you, and great to have you here in person.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. And the Justice Department says 12 people are facing charges in a massive drone prison smuggling operation. Authorities say inmates from various prisons around the country use drones and cell phones to coordinate dozens of drops. Now the Bureau of Prisons is taking action to try to stop those drones. ABC investigative reporter Olivia Rubin has the latest on that story. So, Olivia, prosecutors are calling this one of the biggest arrests in terms of prison smuggling operations in U.S. history. What do we know so far about how this worked?
Officials are really describing through these court papers this sweeping sort of conspiracy and how they carried this out. I wrote down some of the numbers. Listen to this, Diane. They said it involved 6 drones across 10 prisons and 38 drops in which these defendants were allegedly using the drones to drop in contraband into the prison, dropping things like drugs, cell phones, tobacco, even dropping some sort of weapons like blades that they said inmates could then use to try to escape, Diane. It's really sort of remarkable. They also document what they said was a location called the, quote, lab, where the defendants would store the drones, store some of the materials they were using to drop into the prisons. They said it was a former daycare center, essentially describing this as the hub of the operations, but overall this sort of remarkable scheme carried out that they said lasted nearly 3 years, Diane, and now finally this indictment.
But the Bureau of Prisons has a drone alert system that's supposed to notify staff when a drone is nearby. So how did they still manage to pull this off?
Well, I think that's a great question. Investigative reporter did some reporting on this about how there is this sort of sweeping task force, if you will, this law enforcement group that's looking into this. Certainly that's how they came to this indictment here, but really there is that sort of detection system that alerts them when something is nearby. So I think that's a big question, but it certainly does seem that this is something they're trying to crack down on.
All right, Olivia Rubin, thank you. Coming up, there's a new way to get through airport security faster using your phone. Our Elizabeth Schulze is breaking that down next.
Create your own sunshine for a tan every day, everywhere with Jergens Natural Glow.
Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. You're watching America's #1 streaming news. Keep streaming with ABC News Live.
Welcome back to ABC News Live. First, Apple's increasing prices for some of its products. Last month, CEO Tim Cook told the Wall Street Journal the company would raise prices to offset surging costs of memory and storage chips. And now we're seeing the first batch of those hikes. Several MacBook and iPad models now cost $100 to $300 more. So far, iPhone prices are unchanged. And Google's partnering with TSA to help speed up airport security lines. The new system will let passengers verify their identity using their phone instead of a physical ID or boarding pass. But that's raising new questions about privacy and data sharing. ABC News' Elizabeth Schelsey has the details.
We are in the middle of the busy summer travel season. We all know TSA PreCheck can save you time getting through security, but now there is a new way you might be able to get into an even shorter line.
Google announcing a new partnership with the TSA to try to get you through airport security faster without ever reaching for your wallet. Travelers with TSA PreCheck and an Android-operated phone can soon upload their valid passport information into the Google Wallet app. Then, when you check in for your flight and save your boarding pass to the wallet, it'll prompt you to use touchless ID at no added cost.
Here at Dulles Airport, like a lot of airports right now, that touchless ID line is a lot shorter than the regular TSA PreCheck line.
When you use the touchless ID line, the camera will scan your face. No physical passport, driver's license, or boarding pass required to get through. Tech has now rolled out at 65 airports.